Hey everyone, Nick Russo here. In this video, we'll finally connect to the game that I like to play. It's called Materia Magica, which is a text-based game that is kind of a cross between Dungeons & Dragons and World of Warcraft. It contains a Hangman minigame that players occasionally play while completing certain quests. While our alias is helpful for solving these puzzles, it would be better if we could create Hangman suggestions on demand using an event-driven architecture. That is to say, it would be easier to click an in-game hyperlink than to manually reconstruct the word in process and failed letters on the command line using our alias. I've already connected to the game and purchased some Hangman kits for testing. This video is not a Materia Magica tutorial, so I'm only going to summarize the in-game commands. This giant command is a bunch of smaller commands strung together with double semicolons in between. I'm holding the Hangman game in my hand, starting the Hangman game, and initially guessing the letter A. I'll press enter so you can see what happens. We are now presented with some late 1990s ASCII art depicting the Hangman as well as the key inputs for our script. We can clearly see the word in process, which consists of underscores and correctly guessed letters, and this list of failed letters will slowly grow as we play the game. Our goal is to create a link that says the word suggest and print it somewhere around here. Clicking that link should call our Hangman helper function, and it should automatically parse the word in process and wrong letters. This allows the user to click suggest whenever they need help. Let's click on triggers to begin. In the interest of time, I have already created a trigger called Hangman Helper. I personally find that using the same name for aliases, triggers, and scripts can be useful when they work together to solve a common problem. However, this is not required. In an alias, there is only one pattern to match because the user is entering input and intends to take some specific action. Triggers are event-based and can contain many match conditions. We need to match two things because we have important data on two different lines. First, we'll match our word in process. This will be a Perl regex much like the alias. For simplicity, many programmers simply copy the exact text from the screen and paste it here. The only exception is that we need to capture lowercase letters A through Z and the underscore for the word in process, which is encased in parentheses. For technical diversity and contrast, the second match statement uses fancier syntax, including anchors and \s instead of the literal space. This is the safer approach in case the game decides to change the number of white spaces between words, and I'd recommend you get in the habit of doing this. Normally, a trigger runs if any of the matches occur, which are evaluated top to bottom. However, in our case, we can only call the Hangman helper function if both lines are matched. Otherwise, we wouldn't have all the inputs required. Therefore, let's check the box that performs Boolean and logic between the matches. This returns a multi-dimensional table known as multi-matches, which is also a global variable. Multi-matches sub1 refers to the matches in the first match condition, so to extract the word in process, we would use multi-matches sub1 sub2. To extract the failed guesses, we would use multi-matches sub2 sub2, selecting the first parenthetical quantity from the second match condition. Remember, if you find this confusing, just use the built-in display function to review the structure of any table within Mudlet. You don't need to declare local variables here, but I did so just for readability. The CEchoLink function prints a clickable link onto the screen. The C stands for color, enabling color codes in our output to make the link stand out. This link will be printed at the end of the line from the last match. That means we should see it after the failed letters. I'll choose high-intensity green and uppercase letters so that the word suggest really stands out. When that link is clicked, we will invoke an anonymous function that calls the Hangman helper function using those parsed variables. This argument evaluates to a function reference, kind of like what we did with echo and io.write in the first video. We can't just call Hangman helper directly, nor can we make a reference to Hangman helper, as this does not allow us to pass in our arguments. This string is the help text that is displayed when the mouse hovers over the link. Don't be fancy here, just tell the player what the link does. The final true input is required per the Mudlet documentation for the coloring to work, so we'll include that too. I won't demonstrate this because it's a little off topic for Lua programming, but you can check this box if you want the matched text to be highlighted. Red on yellow is easy to see, and this is the default color combination. This is great for development as it will show you the text that was matched without you having to manually reveal it using the echo or display functions. You could also play a sound when the trigger is invoked, but in the context of playing Hangman, this isn't helpful. Now that our trigger has been created, let's guess another letter. I'll guess the letter X, which is extremely unlikely to be present in any word. Now we have a failed letter. We see our suggest link is now available for clicking. Keep in mind that if you click the suggest link too early, you might get flooded with suggestions. After all, there are still many blanks, and we only have one failed letter. I'll guess a few more letters to reduce the number of suggestions. Now, let's click Suggest and see if it works. This looks pretty good. We can see that these suggestions do not contain any of the failed letters, and they are all plausible candidates given our word in process. Now, it's up to us to interpret this output and make intelligent guesses based on it. Nice, it looks like I solved that one correctly. You can tell by my overall score that I'm not particularly good at this game, but the Lua script should improve my chances. If you're interested in downloading this code and trying it for yourself, check the link in the video description. Be warned that the links may change as I consolidate some of my GitHub repositories, but I promise the video description will always point you to the right place. Thanks everyone for your time and viewership. I hope to see you next time, and take care.